Hey!
Oh my goodness.
How's
How y'all
everyone doing? Oh
What's
my goodness.
up?
Listen, girl, we are
Hey.
crystal clear. We are in Studio D,
Listen,
of the Gayborn Mansion.
it is
This
all
is
about
our purpose-built, facility specifically for the BGKA show. I use my COVID money for it.
Listen, I'm all about this hyper. Are you getting into this skin, honey?
Yes.
Are you getting into all of it, honey? Get into
I
this.
still feel like we're
honey.
too yellow though.
Bitch, I have a high pro glow.
I mean, it's cute, but I just feel like I feel like I like a bluer light.
You need a bastard amber. Is that what you need?
No, this is the bastard amber.
Oh, this
I don't know. I like a bluer light. We'll leave it.
This look a little light for a bastard amber. I'm just saying.
I feel like we'll leave it for the moment, but maybe the next show we'll after this we'll play around with it and see if we can. Because the good thing about it, we got a range of color temperatures that we can do.
Listen, these new studio facilities come with new toys and new equipment
every week.
And listen,
the shit just don't arrive.
Y'all don't even understand what's going on behind this wall. See, look, there are five naked men that are behind the scenes, and they are running this little wheel and they're turning it, which is making the light go.
Oh, right.
Kind of like on the Flintstones, like when you pull back and you see the dishwasher and when they step on his foot and they go to. I'm just this, but we're not gonna talk about that. We just gonna. We're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that.
Exactly.
We're gonna leave that alone. Right. So, but I see oh my God, there's people in here. Hey y'all, I see Cortez and Spez.
Oh, congratulations to Spez.
That's right. Congratulations. Congratulations.
And he was talking about what do you give a gift for people that give you a recommendation. And somebody was like, I've given wine and chocolates. I was like,
cash.
I'm just giving a thank you.
Cash and a thank you. Well, a bottle of wine. No, I'm just. But yeah, I mean, a bottle of wine is great.
Right. I'm like, yes, Mateo, we can see you on the YouTubes. Yes. So that's cool. Thank you for watching on the YouTubes. Actually, we're going to in the very near future, we're not going to be posting the live on the Facebook.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start. It's going to be posting. It's going to be posting from YouTube. Right. So so y'all know,
starting in maybe we'll probably say Thanksgiving-ish
around
here. The show will only be live via the YouTube channel.
Yes, indeed.
And then we will post links
to the
Facebook pages because we're trying to drive all of the traffic there. So go to our Facebook page right now, and
on the BGK8 show,
and
then also on our individual pages, you can actually see. You'll see the links that will come up. Right now, you'll probably see both broadcasts.
Right.
But we are going to start steering everybody over to YouTube, so we can have everybody tuning in at one spot. You'll have more. You'll be able to see everything.
Right.
And listen, we'll look. That's just what we're doing. That's just how we're gonna do it.
Yeah. And if you need the YouTube link, it's once we get to a certain number, then we can have a customized link.
Absolutely.
But right now, we just get some random ass link. So go to Linktree on. Okay, that's Spesh.
Link that's surprise.
Yeah, that's Spesh. That's his real name.
I
didn't know.
No, I do know that. Just kind of like how I know Link's real
name.
Well,
everybody know Mateo.
Well, I mean,
listen, look at me.
I mean, even
everybody.
Well, I mean, I don't.
You see him showing off his kibbles and bits on.
Listen, there was a whole lot of kibble going on. What is that? Wait, did you say look at Mighty Trade like tonight? I mean,
he is looking trade like he do look like he about to drop his little sweatpants and do his little dude.
Let's be clear, Links.
This is the fall whoring outfit.
Let's be clear, Links. This is a whole motherfucking buffet. I'm telling you, bitch, I serves all people coming on all sides.
Hallelujah.
That's what we got going on. But listen,
hallelujah.
I'm just saying. So
hey, yeah, so if you check out the credits at the end, you'll see the Linktree and in the Linktree, when you go to that link, it'll be the link to the YouTube page.
Yes.
So maybe we'll do it next week. Maybe we'll let everybody know.
Well, next week. So let's talk about next week. Well, first of all, thank you all for tuning in to the
we'll talk about that later.
To the BGK8 show.
You'll know.
BG with and. Thank you for
the blacks, the gays, the kinky people, and
because we're all human.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, we're still working at the camera and stuff, so we're on a tight. Well, It's 5, right? So when that
listen,
gets to 1:22,
we will be. Yeah, I was gonna say we will be ending on time tonight.
Which actually is good because that
which is
gives
it
us
keeps
some
us
discipline.
it keeps us and that's fine. But
also
next
requires
week is
people to arrive on time, but that's entirely separate issue. Entirely separate issue.
You know, I feel like there's a that you're I feel like that was a jab.
Did you?
But here's the question: Can you tell me what time I arrived?
Did you go really high and did you make a big to do? Well, whoop-de-doo for you. Thank you, Dorian Corey. He was not tardy for the party, but he cuts it close. And I'm starting to treat this show just like a movie. If the movie says 7 o'clock, we need to be in our seats no later than 6:45. If the show started at 8, we need to be in our seats no later than 7:45. But it's fine. It's fine.
But here's the
perfectly
difference.
Fine.
Here is the biggest difference. I am coming from around the fucking world, and I do make a stop just to pick up a little Munch and Crunch. I even asked him if he wanted a little Munch and Crunch.
I will say
I did
that
stop
he
and get my Munch and Crunch. I came, I ate my little Munch and Crunch, and I was here in enough time. But see, this is the difference when you are traveling to someone's place versus being in the place. Now, he very well could have come downstairs at the same time, and I came downstairs, got to the door. But I mean, it's okay. But I'm not one to talk. I'm not being petty. I'm not gonna be petty.
I mean, if I was petty, I would bring up the fact that we both had to drive to the old studio, and you were still always late. So
no, I was on time because the show started at what time, and I was already sitting down in my seat when the lights went on and said flash.
Not always.
Flash.
Not always.
That's a lie. That's a lie for God.
Not always.
Never been a time.
There's
never been a time where we did not, when the camera came on.
So anyway, so how was
it? I was not sitting in my seat ready.
The fucking thing says banter. How was your week?
My motherfucking week was good up until now, bitch.
Banter about how your week was. Okay.
In any event, so I had a good week, and yeah, I mean, I had a good week. It's been pretty low key. I had a we talked about this before the last week's show about the interview or whatever, how it was so damn long. But
any word on that?
I haven't heard any word. So this is what I figured. I figured if you gave me one day and the other day was later, I figured that later date you gave me someone else interviewed. Yeah. And so yesterday was a week. And so I was like, all right, let me give it the obligatory week and a day. And so I did. And today I sent an email that was kind of like, hey, just checking in to see where things are, where things are moving. Because they've been notoriously slow.
Well, clearly
in previous,
not only are they slow,
positions,
but, the hoes, was like, oh, there's an interview today,
right? So I'm trying to just, wait it out. But other than that,
like the News Review, no news is good news or Gary news,
right?
And if you don't know what that means, then we can't be friends.
I was like, I have a problem.
I mean, I can fuck you.
Do you know what the Great Space Coaster is?
Right. The Great Space Coaster. Get on board of the Great Space Coaster.
Off we get on board. Step inside. We're soaring on a magic ride. Going through the other side where only rainbows hide.
Come on, theater training.
I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna bring that out. Okay. But the week was good. How was your week?
My week was quiet, but now that I got this job, it's
bitch. You's employed now, bitch. You's employed, bitch.
I ain't saw a clock in no hours though. So
okay, well, all right. On paper, you got a job,
right?
Okay,
but I'm just it's every day I wake up, it's like I have nothing to do. Because listen, I don't know about y'all hoes, but when I'm unemployed, at least 5 hours out of the day is dedicated to applying for jobs, looking for sites, and so you do your specific resume searches based on what you want to do specifically. Then you do sort of general keywords that bring up like 5 billion searches, but then you feel like you got to search through all of those because there might be a needle in that motherfucking haystack that might be the right one. So, but since they said, well, you start on November the 2nd, I was like, well, I don't really have nothing. I mean, I'm still looking through the jobs, but now I'm like, scroll, like shit that don't meet the immediate, like, that first 2 or 3 cents. If they don't catch me in that first two or three cents.
Because you got a job.
Right. So there's not this pressure. But then on top of that, I'm like, so what I'm going to do? So my slave turned me on to this service called Apollo. So you pay some money for it, but it's like an aggregator, and let's just say I've been catching up on lots of TV, like American Gods, because I didn't have Stars.
Oh yeah, well we talked about,
but I forgot that.
Oh, okay.
I forgot that but
I was say but anyway,
you did, and until we just the second.
You remember that?
Oh yeah, I could have been watching it, but so I watched American Gods, and they have like all of these movies.
I watched the first season. I haven't watched the second season of that.
Yeah, the second. Yeah, that was me. So I didn't keep seeing the second season. So
because there's a new one coming out, right? A third.
No, that was the one where Orlando Black guy.
Oh, Orlando, not Bloom, Jones.
Orlando Jones was pissed,
right? Because they didn't call him back. Is that
right for the third season?
Right. Okay.
So they're still working on that. So, but yeah, so I've been watching that, and I
So this is
go ahead.
This is a service that actually still captures other stuff. Is that what I'm understanding?
I don't know exactly what it does, but my slave was paying for it. He was like, "Sir, I can give you a login." He was like, "Anything you want to watch, any movies or TV?" And I did a few searches. I was like, "Okay," so I was like, "All right, so what about P-Valley? They had it. What about Lovecraft Country? They had it. They had this. I did a couple of test movies. They had that. Okay. So they had everything.
Bitch, did they have Wonder Woman?
I think so, but if you got Amazon Prime, you can get that. But I'll double check. No. The new.
I'm talking about the new. Talking about Wonder Woman 1984.
Bitch, we'll find that out.
Okay,
we'll check it out. So I did that, and what else did I watch? I started watching. What's the thing about the alien? The androids.
On Stars.
No, not on Stars. It's on HBO Max.
HBO Max. Yes. And I got through the first 2 episodes, and it just kind of
with the cute black android.
Yes.
Raised by Wolves.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was just like,
but bitch, listen, she was fucking shit up. She walked.
Yeah.
She was fucking shit up. Oh, I haven't quite understood where she's going with this yet because I haven't gotten past that second episode, but we'll see.
So,
you finished the whole
Mateo, Edge, and these are all clubs in DC. So the Edge and Wet are gay clubs in DC. So so I could probably, hey Corey, I could probably catch up on Westworld. I mean, even though I didn't watch Westworld, I got HBOs. I never watched that. But yeah, there's all of these other shows that I could catch up on.
Is Westworld is Westworld that show? Like, should I be putting that in my
to
queue?
some people it was, but
But I mean, Game of Thrones was that show for everybody as well. And I mean, I
still go back and watch that episode where Arya killed the Night King. I was like, and you ever see like a movie that like what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen. It's still like, even when it's happening, you still like, that shit was hot.
I mean, other than porn, not really. But I mean,
okay.
But I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's all right. But now I will say, I'm probably the only person, one of very few people that didn't really watch Game of Thrones. And
when Sansa got in that ass with Littlefinger, and then Arya slashed his throat open, that shit was hot.
So, like I said, and then I got the Cliff Notes version where somebody was telling me what episodes to watch to understand the whole thing. I haven't gone back to look at that. But it's
only 10 episodes each season, so it's a total of like 80 episodos. Like, let me tell you, I
haven't watched any of them.
I didn't watch any of them. So, like, I didn't watch the first 5 seasons in real time.
Okay.
One of my coworkers and the HR director was like, "You have to watch this." So she lent me the DVD of the first 5 seasons.
Okay.
And I watched that bitch over the course of a weekend. I watched like 50 episodes. I was just like, I couldn't stop watching it.
It didn't really blow my hair back. But I mean, hey, yeah. I haven't even gotten to the damn part where they show the snow people. I don't know what the fuck they are. I haven't seen
White Walkers.
Yeah. I don't even know what I
This hoe said the snow people.
yeah, whatever. They were pretty. They had some pretty
It's
makeup and
it's-
pretty blue eyes. That's what I
It's
did
not the
see.
heat miser, honey.
Whatever. That's probably they probably their cousins. That's all.
Right.
They fall for
It's
side.
not the land of misfit toys.
But yeah,
So
you know.
that's about it. Oh, and so tomorrow I have to write another episode for Recon. The first so
Bitch, get money.
oh no, I'm
Get
getting paid. I'm
money.
getting paid.
Get
And
money.
but
Get
so
money.
this episode, what I didn't realize was that October, you know, because if you belong to Recon, if you checked into the last month, they kept saying Happy Black History Month. October is Black History Month in the UK. So I was like, why is it saying this? Okay, so they're doing a print version of the Recon magazine, and the article that I wrote was a little too spicy.
Oh,
It was a little too spicy to be published because then people might be like, "Oh, pornography," you know. Yeah, so that's going on the website. So I have to write another article
to go into.
He was like, he read the article. He was like, I like it.
He's like, I like it,
however."
but let me get this tissue. See, this is
He's
not
like,
we can't.
yeah, we probably can't talk about that on. Yeah,
Oh well, can you still have the same story and take some of the?
no, it's going to be published on the Recon website, just like the rest of them.
Well, no, what I was trying to figure out was a quick fix to kind of take some of the things out that made it kind of spicy. But then again, there's too much of a.
It's a humiliation scene. Or it's about humiliation.
So yeah,
and you know, so because the whole premise of the thing is like, well, what is humiliation? Because like, when people say to come to me and say, I want you to humiliate me, I was like, well, what does that mean to you? Because how can you really humiliation to me implies something that you don't want to be done.
Or that you don't know.
Or you don't know. So if we discuss what's going to happen, it can't be humiliating. And since I'm not going to just like run up on you and, you know, if I fuck you in public, you're going to know. Or you know, whatever I'm going to do to you, you're going to know. So I was like, what really is humiliation? So that's what the way the story is. I was like, okay, well, how do you humiliate somebody? You know, within the story, you know, this dude gets fucked in the bath. You know, he's with his sir and a bunch of friends, and the dude loudly announces, "I'm going to fuck you in the bathroom between the appetizer and the entree." And you know, so he's a little mortified because it's not like he ain't been fucked in the bathroom before. But normally,
it's the fact that it just happened.
Normally it's just like you get a text that says, "Meet me in the bathroom." So it's like, is that humiliating, or is the fact that, you know, since you weren't prepped for the event, you know, it was a little accident, but you had to, you know, he made you suck him off afterwards, and you saw the shit on the dick, but he was like,
send me this. Send me this.
Like, this is what you wanted, and then so you have to tell people what happened afterwards. Is that humiliating? You know, so what is humiliation to someone who's in the lifestyle? You could probably humiliate someone who is non-kinky because so many things, like a spanking scene, could be humiliating to a non-kinky person. But if you're into spanking and flogging and getting your ass beat and all sorts of other stuff, you know, how the fuck can you be humiliated because if you into all of that shit?
Just send me the link. I just want to see the story. I just, you know, for research purposes, that's all. But I see Mateo, he said something about he'll talk to you. Got something to tell you.
Yeah. Text me around 9:45, Mateo.
Yeah.
All right. So let's.
But anyway, let's jump into it.
So Mitch McConnell's hand is discolored, but he swears nothing is wrong. Girl, when I saw this, I was like, listen, these girls are telling. First,
let me tell you something.
Lands on.
Let me tell you something. This is Lovecraft Country at its best. Listen, when I say you are giving us the Topsies and D's arm. Bitch, what's wrong with you? Your hand falling off? Somebody put a curse on you, honey?
Because that shit was more than just, I got to look. His hand was this like
this white man's hand is like the color.
It looked like it was
darker than my hand at this particular point, and it's bandaged up. And I was like, what?
Right, that whole look, it looked like his hand
was dying. Like it looked like it was dead. Like he was on his way to like zombie. Like, first stop, zombie.
So listen, all of these people that we know, that's Cortez.
I see. Yeah, I see.
all these people are joining on through the YouTube, and thank you. We really appreciate that.
Yay! Looks like he got gout. That went really bad. Baby,
Well, good for him. You know what? Listen,
it could be, and that's kind of what it looks like in a toe. But baby, listen.
Yeah, I hate to be that kind of person that wishes bad upon people.
I'm not wishing anything on him. House and ever.
You know, I just say let nature take its course. You know, the evil that you do in life comes back on you.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Hope you're feeling well, Mitch.
I don't.
I mean, you know, they got to size you up for your suit.
Some reporter, a political reporter, John Bresnahan, asked him, "Do you have some kind of health issue? Everybody's been talking about your hand." And he says, "Quote, I've been worried about your health, Brez. How are you feeling?" replied McConnell, using the reporter's nickname. And the reporter's like, "No, but I'm serious. Is there anything that we should know?" And McConnell replied, "Of course not." But okay.
Listen, just like the top administrator, he lying.
Yeah.
He lying. And listen, I don't wish anything bad upon you, but let those tailors size you up.
Yeah. One thing I will say is that, you know, people are talking about how old these men are. And there's something to be, there's two conversations about that. One, people are living longer. So I think it's to be expected that people aren't willing to just go off into the pasture.
That is correct.
Once they reach a certain age.
And come on, Billy.
Because, you know, I always try to see two sides, or, you know, see things from multiple perspectives. And while I have no
what, Lauren, what's BS?
I think that's, I don't know. Don't care.
No, I'm trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah. Well, I'll this shirt came from Dark Scorpius? No. This was
we know who we talk about. Yeah. But yeah, right. But I can't think of what his company's name is. Something Rainbow. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah. But so as our society, as you know, ironically, healthcare gets better and things, people live longer and whatnot. It's a good thing that people will want to remain active longer. And, you know, all of the younger people who are like, you know, these old people should just retire. I guarantee you that as you start getting into your 50s and 60s and 70s, you know, when people are going to be like, you should retire, you're going to look at them with the same sort of thing. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm at all in support of the foolishness that, you know, Mitch McConnell is into. And I think the best kind of balance is when the young and the old work together, you know, where older people can be like, listen, here are some of the things that I went through, but they respect the energy of youth and give them an opportunity to learn and don't dismiss them because of their youth.
Absolutely. And also because of their youth, and also on the flip side, because of their age.
Right.
Because
everybody is deserving of respect. It's like, you know what, this person who has ridden this planet around the sun many more times than I have has something to teach me. And then the older person was like, you know what, this person who is much younger than me can bring a new perspective. So when you come at a situation from an attitude of mutual respect, I think we can achieve something in this country. Now, I don't give a fuck about Mitch McConnell in general, but it's just a conversation about people of a certain age and, you know, people saying that they should just retire or whatever. So I guarantee you, I was telling somebody else, you know, we were his last thing I'll say is that
I can't think of his name right
about
now.
this.
I'm sorry. Well, the T-shirt, I will give you information about it.
Message Lauren, this person is clearly someone we know.
No, and that's fine. That's fine.
He Oh, so I was talking to someone about, my move to Florida, which, by the way, I do want to say thank you for all the people that reached out.
Kiss My Pride. That's what
Kiss My Pride is.
Kiss My Pride.
Yeah, Google Kiss My Pride.
Yeah.
But still message me and I'll give you the information.
Yeah.
Where, I want to say thank you to all the people who reached out to us personally about the conversation that we had last week about living your best life and all of that. And it really struck a chord with a lot of people about, living your best life. Basically. And that was important. And one of the things that I was talking to Seven about, actually, about, he was talking about retiring. I was like, I don't ever intend to retire.
Yeah, and we've been having this same damn conversation about, like, I feel like, so with this new job, someone said to me, well, you can't retire for another 10 years. I was like, well, in 10 years, I don't necessarily think I was going to be retiring, because I look at my parents, my mom specifically, in that once she retired, she wound up going back to work. But the flawless thing was, if she woke up that morning and I literally called her and I was like, hey girl, what are you doing? Why are you still in the bed? It's like 8 o'clock. She's like, it's raining. I ain't going to work. That is the flawless part right there, where you don't have to get up. You get up and go when you want to go. That's the flawlessness of being retired, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So for me, I feel like I don't necessarily think I'm going to retire at 60 or 62. Unless I have something. And if I do retire, I'm still going to work and do something. Because I just, what's the point of sitting at home? Yeah,
that's what I was saying, is that retirement to me equals death. Not
live, yeah.
But there's something to be said about having something to do
every single day, or at least 5 days out of the week,
or at least part of the day, or at least some part of the day. And no one says working 40 hours, but that's why a lot of Walmart greeters, at least back in the day.
Come on, Billy. I didn't know you were. Come on, all right. Come on, okay, Billy.
Right. We'll get to term limits in a minute, because Mateo asked about term limits. But that's why, back in the day, when, minimum wage jobs were for young people, not for people actually trying to make ends meet. That's why a lot of Walmart greeters were older people, because it was like, listen, it's cute to have a job. We'll still touch on that,
links.
Right. It's cute to have a job that you can go to, you're just sitting there in your chair saying hello to people, or marking their receipt or whatever. You do that for a little bit of time, but that keeps the brain active, which keeps the body active.
Absolutely.
And so, girl, when I'm 70 years old, I'm sure as hell not going to be getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning trying to go to nobody's office. But I do intend that, whether I'm going to be volunteering for something,
I'm doing
or
something.
If I am going to be up that early, it's because I got my own fucking business to run or some shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing something.
Yeah. So back to the conversation. Mateo says, do you have something? What do you think about term limits? Well, of course.
Well, he thought it was in response to, or those being 50 years of age or older and retiring. That's what he thought it was in reference to.
No, it has.
But so speaking of term limits, I just had this very interesting conversation earlier today with the Supreme Court. So listen, I did not put this story in here purposely, because there's part of it that is bothering me.
Did you know that you could be a Supreme Court justice?
Listen, I am 1 year older.
You only have 2 years less experience than our latest Supreme Court
She's
justice.
Never tried a case. She's worked in the office for 2 years.
She's only been a judge since 2017. Not a federal judge.
And she's never tried a case. She's never tried a case.
Right. So, girl, I mean,
listen,
basically all of you could be Supreme Court justice. All you need to do is you be a paralegal or some shit for 2 years, and you got about as much experience as this hoe does.
So the conversation I was having earlier was about term limits for those people on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And so while I absolutely thought that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was phenomenal, so this is kind of overarching with all of it. So 9 seats, RBG, Clarence Thomas, like Sonia Sotomayor, like the question was, or the conversation was about having the Supreme Court to look like the bodies that are in the United States of America, like the people that you're representing, there's no diversity there.
Right.
And I was laughing, but I was so serious about it. You can't include Clarence Thomas because, I mean, he's Black, but like we just can't really include him. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
But again, people of color, LGBTQ, anything on the Supreme Court, having that older white man or that Asian person or that Polynesian.
That's another
like,
thing is that,
there's
you know,
nothing. It doesn't represent who we are.
So much of this country is framed in black and white. But I was like, well, there's never
so
been
many
an Asian Supreme
exactly.
Court justice, considering the number of people in this country that are of Asian descent. And
exactly.
Perhaps our next vice president will be half Asian. You know, so I mean, the conversation is larger than that.
It is. And then the other part of that was the conversation was also going over into defunding the police, because we were talking about the issues that happened in Philadelphia where the young man was shot.
Yeah.
And we were saying how there's a part of me that when I go to vote, I'm always voting for the lesser of two evils, because no administration or no presidential candidate have met 100% of the things that I'm looking for. So it is the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, there's a clear front runner as far as the evil and who has the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
But I also feel like with this incident that happened in Philadelphia, one of the things that I would like to see when people start talking about defunding the police is if you raise it to the ground and it's just, ashes there, there's some good material there that can be brought up and brought into whatever this new organization or new configuration would be. But there needs to be definitely the psychological, social work component that's in there, as well as the enforcement of the laws or to control the masses in the sense of what am I thinking of? Not a coup, but like anarchy or whatever, or just, so we need to have that, but that combination needs to actually happen. And while I don't necessarily think that both of these candidates have a clear plan to say this is how we're going to do that, again, I feel like the lesser of two evils is putting me in one camp versus the other. Mm-hmm. And that's just how I feel. And to be clear, I am not a fan of 45. Let me just put that out there, because I don't want nobody asking me no questions about later. I'm not a fan. So this whole conversation, we talked about the Supreme Court and have it resemble us and defunding the police and having the Supreme Court to look like us. The term limits piece was what we're talking about. If we go to a 11-person Supreme Court members of the Supreme Court, the conversation was about having these 2 additional spots as being, I don't want to say termed in the sense that they would only be there for, let's say, 4 to 5 years at a time and rotate out, because you have a wealth of knowledge that is here over the years, because these are great political minds for the most part. But then you also have people that are great political minds that are coming onto the Supreme Court that bring the current, the now, the things that people are concerned with now, the issues that have been affecting them. They're bringing this into the Supreme Court as well, and making these people that are on the Supreme Court, besides themselves, think about these options. So the whole idea of like gay marriage and, healthcare and all these different things, these are things that I feel like if we had these 2 other appointments, what I would like to see would be some sort of term limits for reassessing where they are, or making those 2 positions possibly termed in a sense that they're just always fresh and recurring, if that makes sense, because you're bringing new information in.
I get that. I don't agree.
But again,
well, I get the spirit of it.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel like you just need to have, because I feel like they've become such a silo. They're so closed off that they get no new information. They believe that, this is the same thing. I came on here in 1989. This is how people are since 1989 and up until this particular point. And it's like, no, there's a whole lot of evolution that's been going on in the past 30 to 40 years. Like you need to be on top of what's going on and know how it's affecting your everyday lives. And again, that is a suggestion. That is how I feel about that. But
right, what I hadn't really thought about the second part that you mentioned about you mentioned the term limits, but about having sort of like rotating sorts of things. I don't think that's necessary. I think first of all,
but the consistency is good though. Let me be clear.
Yes and no. Yeah, that's what career politicians are for.
Well,
that's what the law clerks are for. That's what the problem is that. Well, to me, is that
Corey, I don't know where you're going with this.
I would have thought that if there isn't a job description, like, I mean, like, you know, like to be president of the United States, I mean, there's an age qualification, but really that's the only qualification. I think for some of these jobs, like to be the commander in chief, you know, or to be a senator or a congressperson. Well, no,
True,
I take
Bella.
that back. But let's just stick with Supreme Court. Girl, you have to, first of all, you have to have been more than just like, oh, I'm a lawyer. Because according to what just happened, somehow that just got out of law school could theoretically be
Yes,
the next
indeedy.
Supreme Court justice.
Yes, indeed.
Because there is no requirement that you have to have been a judge at the federal level for X number of years, that you had to have tried a certain number or kinds of cases. So I think that really, you know, if we're looking at commissions and stuff that need to do things, there needs to be minimum requirements to be a Supreme Court justice, and that needs to be a law. You need to have been a lawyer for X number of years. You need to have been a judge at the federal level for X number of years, and then in other, as you get that propagates downwards. So in order to be a judge at the federal level, you need to have been a judge at the whatever level is below that. So then it sort of propagates up. So by the time you get to the Supreme Court justice, you guarantee that this person has already had X number of experiences, because you wouldn't be able to be a Supreme Court judge if you hadn't been a federal judge. Wouldn't be a federal judge if you hadn't done this kind of judge. You couldn't be this kind of judge if you hadn't been a lawyer practicing for X number of years. So you just can't get some person who is just somebody in there. And also, everybody need a term limit. Even if I loved Thurgood Marshall, which I don't, Thurgood Marshall, Clarence Thomas, which I don't, and I love Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but this shouldn't be a job that you die in office of. There should be a term limit of 10 or 15 years. It can't be just 4 years, because then it becomes too political, because then it becomes tied.
Whatever.
It needs to move beyond the cycle of presidency or congressional cycles. But there needs to be, in my opinion, needs to be a limit for every Supreme Court justice, no matter how many we add to the Supreme Court. And I also don't want to. We don't want to start this whole. We want to fix the system.
Yes.
And adding more justices doesn't fix the system. It just changes the game and then opens the window to 100 years from now. And people are like, why the fuck are there 27 justices on the Supreme Court?
Well, yes, but I also feel like we should. I feel like there should always be an odd number of justices.
Well, of course.
B, I also feel like at this particular moment, it's never, in theory, it is never going to sway towards a liberal standing. It is by virtue of how they are set up and what their political affiliations and what their thoughts are, conservative. You need to have that close and then deciding to go either way. I feel like that is the fairest way.
I do. Okay, yes. And that, what the whole point that you mentioned about, someone who has sort of more of an ear to the ground gets to something that Morgan just said. Do you think those qualification requirements, the one I just mentioned, would limit the potential diversity of the court? You know what? Thank you for bringing that up, Morgan, because, if you have to.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, yeah, because we know that there's not a ton of Black lawyers out there.
So
not just Black, but Black, Latino, Asian lawyers out there. So now if you say you have to have been a lawyer for X number of years, you have to have been a judge for X number of years, you have to have been a federal judge for X number of years, you start to limit the number of Black people. Even if you threw a ton of Black people into federal positions now, and said that you have to be a federal judge for 10 years, that means the soonest that any of those Black people could become judges is 2030.
Yeah.
So your statement about, adding, extra judges
right
would address that. But then the concern there for me is that then makes that if there's 9 and then we have say
11,
2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, let's say 4. So then now we're at 13 judges, which isn't necessarily unruly. The appointment of those 4 judges becomes a mess.
Well, I think the thing is, if you do it that way, you just know that you're a Supreme Court justice, you are here. The only difference between you and anybody else is you came into a position that is limited in term. And that's one option. The other option could be that everybody is given a term. So, but again, I still feel like that brings in the idea, like the idea of having consistency with thought and how you are administering laws and rules and regulations, that's consistency. But if you have no idea what's going on outside of where you are, then these rules and regulations and laws that you're laying down they just don't apply.
Yeah.
They don't fit. They don't address anything.
That's true. I think maybe this is the last thing that I'll say.
41. Oh my God.
Saudi Arabia has 41 justices. Yeah. What was I going to say? Is that I think what we could do is divide it by political party. And then, this would assume that let's say there were no Supreme Court justices. Whatever party controls Congress or whatever, it'd have to be if there were
there needs to be some check and balance.
Right, if there were 13, if there are 9 justices, whoever is the majority party of Congress would get the extra one.
Okay.
Or actually, I would do it the reverse. That they would have.
I'm listening to you, but
No, yeah. Mida says most of our government was made to work in good faith, and what we see here is that Republicans are no longer working in good faith. And
absolutely,
that really is what the issue is.
Absolutely,
is that there is.
Oh my God, I have nipples. What is that? Oh, it's the. That's the. Yeah. I was like, I have shiny nipples. Like what? Sorry, it's my strings.
That's really the issue. Is that, and that's why the Republicans have been successful, because Democrats and liberals have been like, oh, well, we would just never, we would, as much as even now, we were just having this conversation like, I don't wish Mitch McConnell ill. Whereas Republicans are like, die. Like if Barack Obama had gotten sick in office, if that bitch had caught a bad cold, them hoes would have literally, Pat Robertson and hoes like that would have literally been hosting prayer circles, wishing for him to die. And on the other hand, even Mitch McConnell, we're like, wow. We would be like, well, I hope the motherfucker doesn't die. And that's what it is. There is that lack of good faith, that lack of common human decency,
right?
That says, well, yeah, I don't like you. I think you're an awful person. And I wish you didn't have the office.
Right.
But I don't necessarily want you to die.
But some of these motherfuckers are showing that they are just awful people. Just fucking awful.
Morgan says, what is the downside of lots of justices? The issue is, for me, I'll say, I know what mine is. What is yours?
I think the issue with having lots of justices
let's say like 41, like Saudi Arabia
would be due process, because you're going to have to wait for all of them to voice their opinions or to write their opinions on a specific. That's going to take forever.
It's just harder to get consensus,
and that's the issue, because you're with 41 people. With the more people that you have the more possibility. So I'm going to dumb this down. You're either in favor of it, you're either for it or against it. But with 41 people, I feel like you're going to have for it, against it. What about this new route? That's not the issue. The issue is, are you for it or against it? That's what this is. And I feel like with 41 or a large number, that's just going to be confusing. That's my issue.
I think it is that, but also just deciding what that number is, becomes a thing. And then also, again, how long has it been? 9, at least for 200 years.
Well, yeah.
So once this truly is a slippery slope, because once you say, oh, well,
It can
It
be.
becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that I warned, like anyone was listening to me. But when Barack Obama started doing all of this shit by executive order, everybody was like, fuck yeah, do that shit. Write all of these executive orders and get this shit done the way that you want to. I was like, this isn't good, because what happens when there's a president in office? And this was long before Donald Trump was an idea of being president. But I was like, well, what happens when someone that you don't like is in office? Because once you give someone a power, you can't take it back. And so this is exactly what happens. And so I'm leery of expanding the court, because then what's to stop people from saying, oh, well, why don't we just expand it some more? Why don't we expand it some? Whenever you get a ruling that you don't like.
That's true. So I hear that. But then the other part too is, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. You were talking about, this latest is, well, first of all, one of the executive orders that has directly affected my job currently is the diversity and inclusion
training. Mm-hmm.
So, we did this week of training that's coming up. That was their week that they were going to go through diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. So it has now been taken out. This course is now, every single word that says diversity or inclusion has been taken out and it's been replaced with something else.
Doing the training though, because they already paid the money.
They already paid the money, and this is something that we're because of how we're set up with our accreditation, mm-hmm. we have to include this, but we have to abide by the executive order because these are federal employees. Mm-hmm. Now, if they were not federal employees, that'd be something completely different. Mm-hmm. But because they're federal employees and we're trying to still keep our jobs, all it takes is one of the motherfuckers to say, "Oh, they had talked about diversity and inclusion back at their agency," and that'll be a whole nother issue.
Yeah,
but. This other executive order that 45 has just written and is trying to get passed is I'm going to call it the name incorrectly, but the not Grateful American, but the Proud American or Proud Patriot Act or something, where basically he's trying to, like, each administration, the administration changes with the outgoing president. He's trying to set it up so that the administration that's there will stay based on the fact that they are good and doing their job and has been qualified by doing these things here. And I'm like,
let's just be clear: an executive order is only as good as the person that is there.
And so
that executive order don't mean shit.
Whether he gets that passed is one thing. But the moment your ass is out of this office, that executive order, listen, we already know somebody's gonna come through and be like, you know what? Let's just slash. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, I will put together a Trump commission. Like literally, when Joe Biden is giving his speech on like y'all got it, y'all ready
on Inauguration Day.
Yeah, like
I will be like, all right, so
text me when this commission is formed and when I'm done. So
our new vice president, Ms. Harris, mm-hmm. Vice President Harris is in charge of the Trump Commission. As of now, this moment, any executive order that was written in the past 4 years is null and void immediately.
Yeah.
We will now go through each one of these executive orders, and if we deem them important, we will reinstate them. But I am proactively making a statement that says all of these executive orders are null and void as of this moment. And I want the camera to cut to Donald Trump's face when he says it. And you know what? Donald Trump is such a bitch that I think he might not even show up.
Of course he's not going to show up. He's not going to show up. And what's going to happen is he's going to wind up having some sort of rally or something. This is what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to be petty. And the inauguration day.
He's probably going to be forced to accept the results, but not believe them. So he's going to have a competing rally.
Exactly. That's
somewhere
exactly
else
right. On inauguration day and be like, oh, well, we're here. We're going to do.
And then you can be like, listen, girl, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Whatever the fuck you want to say.
The election has already been certified.
Bitch, I am here for Kamala. If this asshole decides that he doesn't want to leave, I'm here for hearing Kamala Harris turn around and say, you mad? You mad?
Are you mad? Are you little mad?
Or you big mad?
Like, you know what? Hold on. I bought this cape. Now you can be Superman.
Like, I'm here for it because Joe is not gonna give me what I need when he says it. But Kamala,
Joe is old and petty.
He is. But I need to hear from Kamala's face, like when he said something about her dropping out of presidential race. She was like, "Bitch, but I'll see you when they take your ass off the jail when we go to court about your taxes or whatever."
Yes.
Like her comment, I was like, "Oh my God."
So
I'm here for her.
Listen. We going. We're going to the inauguration.
I
already got
one
my
of
4 or 5 layers.
I am one of the few people that did not attend the last 3 inaugurations. I didn't do Barack. It was cold in the motherfucker. Bitch, it was cold.
That first Obama inauguration, bitch, it was like
ma'am.
That was no exaggeration. When I tell it was like
it was
15
cold
degrees outside.
And I wound up
like
I wound up actually going because both my cousin came down from Philly and my other cousin was here. I had to go pick them up from the train station because it was such a mess. And so I was like, now I'm sitting in my den with my blanket all, my hot cup of tea, watching the man, and this is amazing. Can you come pick us up? What? Bitch, this chamomile tea is hot, girl. What are you talking about? But it's okay because you this family. I
But we're going.
But yes, I decided that but I'm so concerned. Let's get through this stuff first.
Yeah, because we got
a little bit. We got some time, and I want to get through this.
Yeah.
So listen, our next story we was going to talk about was the FDA approving this treatment for COVID-19, and I think you all have been hearing a little bit about it. But on the 22nd, the United States Food and Drug Administration approved the antiviral drug Veklury, which is remdesivir, for use in adult and pediatric patients 12 years of age or older and weighing at least 40 kilograms or about 88 pounds for the treatment of COVID-19 requiring hospitalization. They're saying it should only be administered in a hospital or in a healthcare setting capable of providing acute care comparable to inpatient hospital care. Veklury is the first treatment for COVID-19 to receive the FDA approval. Now, this approval does not include the entire population that has been authorized, and it does not include the entire population that had been authorized to use Veklury under the emergency use authorization originally issued on May 1st, 2020. Yeah. So at some particular point, they were saying that they were treating them with this drug early on, but now since they've done these testing, this is what they're saying is the first FDA approved drug. So listen, we will see how this goes. They're saying the FDA is committed to expediting the development and availability of the treatments. This is from the commissioner. As part of the FDA's coronavirus treatment acceleration program, the agency will continue to help move new medical products to patients as soon as possible, while at the same time determining whether they are effective and if their benefits outweigh their risks. So they're still not 100% sure because, again, nothing is 100% there. It's like 98.999 or, whatever that is. And so they're still trying to figure out what those possibilities are. So that's where we are. But again, I think that's good news. I wanted to definitely make sure that we reported that and talked about that. And so letting people know. And then half of our conversation today has been about presidential voting, everything. Listen, this early voting is amazing. And I want people to continue doing it. I've done my early voting. I dropped my shit in the mail. I've checked my email. I was like, "Whoop, it's been received." Okay, great. Like I am listen.
I got a little worried because as a management consultant, so all of these systems is fucked up. So like I put mine in, you put your little number in, and I wanted to check to see if it was received. The nomenclature that DC uses says ballot return. And I was like, was it not counted?
And it's return to them. Yes.
Returns to them. No, bitch.
Y'all need to figure that out.
It needs to say ballot received or counted or some shit. Because ballot returned, I was like, and so now I'm like in the mail, like with the shit being returned to me, did I mark it wrong or something? What the fuck?
Because Maryland says ballot received, but then when they open it up and count the vote, it'll say ballot approved.
Okay.
Or ballot
counted or some shit like that.
Yeah, it'll say ballot approved or counted or sent back to you. Like it's very clear with how it's actually
Yes,
delineated.
Morgan. It was a terrible user experience. I'm just like, girl, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, I am not a database expert, but I work enough in databases to I understand how shit goes. And I was like, well, ballot returned from whose perspective? It was like, from my perspective, if you say ballot returned, that means like if you say something, if you say a piece of mail, which that was returned, that means you're sending it back because it wasn't appropriately received or whatever. So yeah, somebody fucked that up.
I don't know what that, but so according to People, the New Yorker writer and CNN analyst.
Well, you're reading you didn't copy the text. You copied the text from the last week's story.
No, here we go.
She's fired.
No.
Fired.
No.
Fired.
No. The text was not the text was put in here, but it was put in the wrong place. That should have been erased. But again, more than 69 million votes have already been cast in the 2020 presidential election. And as don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. This bitch. The total votes cast as of Tuesday afternoon has already eclipsed the total number of early votes that was cast in 2016 and makes up about half of the total votes cast that year. So right now, the U.S. Election Project's data shows that more than 46 million mail-in ballots have already been cast as of Tuesday. This despite Trump's slew of false statements about voting by mail.
Right.
Early voting records haven't just been shattered via email either. More than 23 million votes have also been cast in person as of Tuesday. As COVID-19 health concerns are raised across the country, many election officials are revising their plans, push for more voter options and expanded services like ballot tracking, prepaid postage, ballot drop boxes, and use of sports arenas as polling locations. Voters are taking early action and are flattening the curve by voting now. What is less clear in which candidate this enthusiasm might benefit, either Donald or Joe. Numerous states and polls have shown Biden with a durable lead, but the large wave of voters so far has raised questions about whether polling, a largely accurate but imperfect tool, has overlooked some group, particularly those who rarely or never turned out to vote before. So we shall see. So my whole point is early voting has been working amazingly and people are coming and putting it down. Please continue to do so. If you haven't already, please go vote.
Yeah, and make sure you follow all of the instructions.
Yes.
You know, if there are, don't just be like, I'll just gloss over this. Read, if you're going to vote by mail,
read the instructions.
Read it very, very, very carefully.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of them required, like even DC required you to sign, which on the outside of the envelope, for some reason, there was like the ballot and then a sleeve that the ballot goes into. Then you got to sign the thing and then you seal that up. And I was like, this is a lot.
And then it's different with each state, which is one of the things that, like, again, that you were talking about, just the whole idea of processing and doing management consulting or whatever. Be consistent with the process. Let the process be the same across the state. Like, let's just put it in the envelope, put this envelope inside of this one and fold it over. You know what I mean? Like, just make it consistent, because each state has been having issues with the signature on the outside, the signature on the inside, putting it in the other envelope.
This is why this whole, going back to Midas's comment about good faith. If everyone was operating in good faith, there wouldn't be a problem with having a national standard for voting. Is true. Because the idea that everyone's vote counts equally would mean, well, then why shouldn't the way that I vote in California be the same as the way I vote in Florida or Alaska or Maine or Texas? If everyone's vote counts equally, there should be, standards to how that goes.
Morgan, I'm here for it. Just make sure you credit BGK show with us talking about you writing this code for the show so we can get our props as well.
We'll take a small 75% cut.
Yeah, that's all. We're good.
That's all, very modest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why, that whole conversation about, not acting in good faith is critical.
Yeah.
Because again, even when I was young, back in, just showing the age, but Tip O'Neill and, other people and Teddy Kennedy and all of those, maybe it was the idea of a child at the time, because that was, the 80s, but it's like, I think a country, we can't have a country where all one set of ideas propagates. I think, there needs to be a healthy debate about fiscal policy and about the way that things
I agree.
go. But the idea is that you don't try to stack the deck so much so that, you know,
which has been the procedures, policies and procedures of this current administration and a lot of these Republican officials.
Yeah.
But
so, you know, I feel like there needs to be so many sort of commissions and, you know, a restructuring of American political life from the ground up that unfortunately Barack Obama wasn't able to do.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I agree with Mateo. He says, devil's advocate, if this were the reverse, do you believe the Democratic Party would behave differently? It's really whoever's in power. Yeah.
Well,
absolute power corrupts absolutely.
It does.
Let's just be clear. It will be just a different set of mostly white men in power who would then be doing whatever it is that they want. I think the difference here is that there is no difference. It's just human nature to take power and then want to maintain it. But I think people get are all, you know, up in arms about, you know, what's going on. But for me, it's like, well, this is what happens in a democracy. You know, you have differences of opinion, and when this is what makes this country theoretically, because I always use theoretically when I talk about what this country is and what it should be. This is what theoretically makes this country different than other places where, you know, when your party doesn't win, now you start talking about a coup or start talking about, well, we don't like this country, so we're going to United States of South America. It's like, we're not, no, girl, you just gotta fight.
And we still have that thing about California pulling out and becoming its own, and Texas become
Bitch, I would move to California. So I'd be like,
child.
I'd be like, don't leave me with these bitches.
Child.
Do not leave me with these. I'd be out.
Child.
If California seceded from the union, bitch, I would leave this place.
California may not only be succeeding from the union, shit, they actually be succeeding from the continent. But that's a whole nother story.
The island of, 100 years from now, it was like, welcome to the island of California.
So but hey, listen,
I'm
not wishing no harm on nobody.
No, not at all. So yeah, but I will go back to that COVID story. Like, listen, girl, this is not a vaccine. This is a treatment.
Yeah.
And it's a treatment if you are fucked up. This isn't just like, oh, you got COVID. They still gonna tell your ass to go home
and rest.
Unless you got some symptoms.
Right.
So don't be like, oh yeah, MAL's back on. No, girl. No.
So Midas, I would like to believe that Democrats would play better by faith. I would like to believe that. But whether they're doing it at 375 degrees or if they're doing it at 425 degrees, it's still, bad faith is bad faith.
Yeah,
I
think the no.
Yeah, I would like to believe that, but I don't think that's.
They don't always see. Well, all right. I would like to believe it.
I think for the most part, you're right that they're institutionalists and always see good in others. I don't know about always, but I think many of them do see good in others. But I still believe that they be doing some shady shit. And it would be probably for the betterment of the country or for the betterment of whatever.
I always operate by the axiom, trust no bitch. If you trust no bitch, then you don't plan to live your life in such a way where you're waiting for them to do the right thing. You force them to do the right thing and act in your interest. So what that means is that should we meaning those of us who consider ourselves liberal,
how much our political hoes going to hold?
Right, political hoes are going to, right. Should we win, the presidency, maintain the House, and win the Senate? It doesn't mean we can all just sit back and be like, all of our problems.
No, not at all.
We still are going to have to apply the same pressure. Because remember, those of us who are black, brown, black or brown or Asian, and who are gay, or
You putting us into
any lesbians or any trans people, remember how we were all one big family when it was all about marriage equality. Once marriage equality was achieved, all those white gays was like, fuck you dykes. Fuck all you coon. I mean, listen, you see it. So we thought we was all cautiously optimistic and, whatever. People only come together because of common interest. And as soon as they get what they want,
they out.
Unless you force that,
they out.
They out.
Yeah,
so,
they out.
We are not going to be able to just rest over the next 4 years. That's what it means, because just Joe Biden ain't perfect. Kamala Harris ain't perfect. And again, I never expected them to be.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for no magic Negro or no magic old man to save me. I'm just looking for someone who, at least feels like, they'd at least listen to what the fuck I have to say.
I sincerely go by the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
End of the day.
The one time I didn't feel like I was voting for the lesser of two evils was Barack Obama's first inauguration, because he was a blank slate at that point. And so I believed in everything that he did and said. And the second one, I was disillusioned is the wrong word, but he had to govern, and it's always easy to root for an ideal. It's a little harder to root for someone who actually has gotten beat up over 4 years and whatever. But when the choice was him or the Mormon,
I don't even remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, then it was clear. Anyway, so last story. Is Mike Tyson woke now? So he confronts Boosie Badass about his comments on Dwayne Wade's transgender daughter, Zaya, and asks if Boosie is homosexual. Before we begin, before everybody gets on the Mike Tyson train, let's just be clear. He was almost certainly abusive to Robin Givens, which he has never publicly addressed. And to hear Robin tell it, maybe not in the very recent past, but for a long time, he continued to make threats against her. Long after they were separated and divorced, she talked about living in fear that he was going to show up on her doorstep. And when Jamie Foxx started talking about doing a movie about Mike Tyson's life, she said she had to go see her therapist because it brought back all of those feelings again. So people are complex, and he could be both, down for Zaya as a trans person and still be a horrible wife beating person.
Yes. But so as we talk about the story, I don't think that, but anyway.
That was all I had to say about that.
Oh, okay. But so let me just talk about
the story.
Yeah, let me just talk about the story first. So during the rapper's appearance, Boosie Badass, on his podcast Hotboxing with Mike Tyson, Tyson questions if Boosie was homosexual, and while trying to get at the root of why he shared unsolicited thoughts about Zaya coming out as a transgender. He said, "Why do you say things about a person who might be a homosexual? Why do you say that about them? Do you feel that there's a possibility that you're a homosexual, and by disrespecting them, it furthers yourself from being a homosexual? I'm thinking you may like homosexuals." And so that's when Boosie responded, was like, I'm straight as an arrow. He's like, he then clarifies the question. And then Tyson says, who appears to be puzzled at Boosie's prior actions, inquires why the rapper offends homosexuals if he's heterosexual. He's like, if you're straight, then why do you offend people? And Boosie went on to explain why he shared his thoughts on Zaya Wade. He said, I really commented on the Dwayne Wade situation because I got offended because it's a child, he began. He said, that's why I really got offended. He said, that's what I really said. If it was a motherfucking 19-year-old, 18-year-old grown person, I probably wouldn't. I know I wouldn't have said anything. And then Boosie doubled down on his initial comments about Zaya being too young to be able to identify herself as transgender. He said, I just felt like it's a child. I felt like a child ain't at 12 can't make that decision. I felt like that's just how I feel. Now I'm reading this.
Yeah.
And certain things I talk about, I just felt like that was going too far. You calling him a her, that's just going too far at 12 years old. So Mike agreed with Boosie's sentiment, but shared that he has no place to offer his position on the matter. And he basically said, and I quote, "Who the fuck am I to say anything?" He asked Boosie. "What I think don't mean a motherfucking thing." And so despite Boosie acknowledging earlier in the conversation that sometimes he needs to shut the fuck up, towards the end of the discussion about Zaya, Boosie continued to state that he stands by his initial statement. He later apologized to Dwayne Wade, saying, "Oh yeah, I apologize to Dwayne Wade. I mean what I said, but I shouldn't have said that shit about your child." So this is kind of, so for me, that's why I was getting stuck on the article.
Apology, non-apology.
Yeah. So Mike Tyson.
Thank you, Raphael, for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We're here every Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you.
And somebody had a question about whether we'll be here next Wednesday as well.
Absolutely. It was 7. Yes, we will be here next Wednesday after the election. Yes.
But so Mike Tyson, for the most part, agrees with Lil Boosie that he feels that this child is too young to identify as transgender. And once again, I pose the same question to him: who the fuck are you to think that this person's child is too young to do anything, and they're not even your child? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, why would you do that?
I used to I mean, I'm being honest. I used to be like, at 7 years old, when kids say they're transgender, I was like, aren't you young to know that? But I was like, also, maybe 20 years ago, kids didn't have any language to identify.
That's a major part of that.
Now that they see some person, I hate to bring up this bitch, but like Caitlyn Jenner, and they're like, oh, so there is a name to this. What my 6-year-old self as a little boy is feeling, there is a name to it. And now I can do that. Maybe 6-year-old Bruce Jenner didn't have that. So and again, like Mike Tyson, but did I always default to? It's none of my affair.
Right. And I think
what you choose to do with your life.
That is the issue that I have with this entire story. So you confronted Boosie about saying stuff, but you agree with him, but you just confront him about saying it.
And the only reason he got away with it is, let's see. So first of all, bitches always talk about people behind their backs. Boosie would not have said that to Dwayne Wade's face.
Absolutely
would not, because he's a bitch.
Absolutely not. He would not have.
And he certainly wasn't going to confront Mike Tyson, because just like Mida said, Mike Tyson bit a nigga ear off.
Yeah, so like, what the fuck are you? What you gonna do?
Right. So that's really my mind your own fucking business. Anything in life that you don't like about what some other person does, always ask yourself, does what they're doing affect you?
Me. Yep.
Personally.
Yep.
If the answer to that question is no, then it's shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like just
no one cares. But I think no one cares.
Stay the fuck out of it. Like
no
that has
one
nothing.
Cares.
If
they're happy,
and that's the
and it
result.
Doesn't affect your ability to be happy, shut the fuck up. Just mind your own goddamn business.
Yeah.
Mind your own business. And also, as Mida said, meanwhile, Boosie forced his 11-year-old son to get head by a grown-ass woman.
And admitted it. So it's like
that's better.
Yeah, so you're gonna down one thing, but then also promote something else.
Right.
You're gonna promote homophobia, but then you're also gonna now
that's molestation. Listen, that's another thing, in this patriarchal, homophobic, toxic masculine society, people think that young boys can't be raped by a woman.
Right.
They think they can be raped by a boy, can be raped by a man, but there are a lot of men who are fucked up because some woman, grown-ass woman, forced herself on them when they were 7, 8, 9, or 10 years old.
Right.
And it has fucked up their entire ability to relate to the opposite sex. To people in general, but the opposite sex in particular. And so you could have fucked that little boy up. I mean, do some people have fond experiences about being turned out by whatever, but I feel like that's usually that 14-year-old's thing where they pursued that.
Oh, there have been tons of
that's
movies.
Different when your father literally bought a hooker, nothing wrong with being a hooker, but bought a sex worker into your home or whatever and said, you're going to do this. I mean, first of all, what if that girl that has, I mean, did you get this woman HIV and STD test before? Now your 11-year-old has herpes for life because you don't want him to be a punk.
Samsonite luggage.
So, dumbass.
Anyway,
niggas.
So
niggas.
On one hand, I'm happy that he made Lil Boosie realize that, again, it's none of his fucking business. But I'm still also sitting there looking at Mike side eye like, really, bitch? Okay.
It's a slow evolution. And so ultimately, the conversation shouldn't have needed to been had because it was, as Mike should have stopped with, who am I to say anything, and left it at that.
Yeah, and part of that
could have just stopped there.
Yeah, part of that would have been not even having a conversation with Boosie.
I think the conversation could have been had with Boosie because the conversation would have been like, mind your own fucking business. And I also don't like the idea of accusing him of being a homosexual, because then that plays into homophobia. There's nothing wrong with being a homosexual. It's not about you. It's bad enough. If you want to call another grown-ass man homosexual and say something is wrong with that, that's fine. The problem is that you attacked a child. It's not that it's fine.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's not.
It's not that it's fine. But that grown-ass person can choose to respond how the fuck they want to respond. You attacked a child. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And again, mind your own damn business. You don't like nobody telling you what the fuck to do with your 11-year-old son. Mm-hmm. So don't tell Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union what the fuck to do with their 12-year-old daughter.
And there it is. So listen, we are trying to be cognizant of our time and things that are going on. And so with this new studio comes some new challenges and things of that sort. So we want to make sure we definitely end on time.
Yes.
So we're going to take this quick break and kind of show you guys our credits and stuff. But we'll be right back with some closing words and stuff.
It works out good.
Yeah. I think that actually keeps us in.
Yeah. Looking at the time, we're like, oh, girl.
Yeah, I mean,
Stimpy's like, oh, it's 10:30. It was no problem.
Yeah, I feel like next week we might. We'll
talk about it in a minute.
Yeah. So, we rolled that beautiful bean footage that we do every week. Next week, again, we're going to be on as usual. I'm going to say this now. I'm a little concerned about next week, and I don't know how I'm going to feel. And hopefully by Wednesday, I will be in a better mood. I'm just I'm cautiously uneasy. I'm
optimistic, yeah. But because, I mean, so many early votes is a good thing, and it's also a bad thing because a lot of places won't even start to count them until Election Day. And so that would be, even under normal circumstances, a Herculean task to count 65 million votes. And remember, all of those votes are hand filled. I mean, if you cast not an early ballot, but a mail-in ballot, that means you got a Scantron, full circle, and shit got to be fed into a computer, and all kinds of shit. So there's still
room for error.
So I feel like there will be trends by Wednesday, but I'm not holding my breath for a definitive winner.
Yeah, because we're supposed to know. They said we're supposed to know about 3 days afterwards. I think that's what they were saying. So by that Friday, I
unless it's looking like a fucking blowout, because it could look like a fucking blowout.
And if it's a blowout, then we probably will. I would probably feel that. But again, I'm just a little uneasy. What I really don't want to have happen is I really don't want to have, after this last election, that surreal feeling that I had while I was at home and realizing that this man actually won. And then I'm trying to tune into one of my favorite shows, American Horror Story, and it was very similar. So it was mirroring that.
Right.
It kind of set me off in a very uneasy.
Oh, girl,
way.
I don't even want to talk about that day.
So,
I mean, bitch, I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, I haven't watched the news. I only recently started watching the news programs on CNN and MSNBC. After that night of the election, I was traumatized for 4 fucking years.
Yeah, like it's been a little uneasy for me. So
yeah, I keep watching the electoral map predictions to soothe myself too, Morgan. But we was also watching the electoral maps to soothe ourselves.
And it just
and you know the
work.
girls. Listen, girl, I sat there with my popcorn and my wine, and I was like, oh, okay, of course he was gonna win Michigan or whatever. And then I was like, girl, this
But keep in mind,
good.
there's some critical states that he's going to have to win.
Yeah,
I mean that if he wins, it's gonna be
they
an
put
issue.
Texas into the toss-up.
So Texas is in there now. So
Texas
it's Pennsylvania, Florida,
Pennsylvania,
and
Florida,
Michigan,
and
Texas and Michigan
are now in the toss-up categories when they were firmly red last time.
So it's like now I'm like, how's this gonna? So I don't know.
Yeah,
but
as we begin the slow transition
Yes.
to YouTube, totally, there was the Linktree link. It's link.tree/BGKH show. I think that's it. We'll post it again. If you follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, you'll see that link. So that's the link to go to get the broadcast, the YouTube link. So we want you all to follow us and watch through the YouTube channel and sign up.
Yes, please.
And subscribe to that YouTube channel. Help us build our subscriber base. And Morgan asked, do we have a Patreon? No, we don't have a Patreon.
So
yet.
not yet.
But I've been struggling to figure out what the fuck what we would do with a Patreon. If you have some ideas of what you would like to see,
we can
be willing to
that.
pay for, because that's the whole point of a Patreon.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that and see how that goes. I can actually check out with Spiller Boy about that because they do Patreon, and there's Lipstick Alley, and there's this other.
Yeah,
there's a whole.
I mean, we get T-shirts and stuff, but
yeah.
You know.
So, but I mean, we can figure that out. And again, if with Patreon there comes a fee, and people would have to actually pay for that. So,
yeah.
You know, we'll figure that out.
I mean,
but
I got like 500 T-shirt ideas. I mean, we can make it happen.
I mean, we had that conversation, but anyway,
yeah. All right.
This is our process. This is what we do. So,
right.
But listen.
This is how the whole fucking idea of the show.
Yeah,
came,
I mean,
it
just
partying and bullshit, and
yeah,
there we go.
But listen, we thank you guys for coming in and tuning in. Again, make sure you guys understand that we're going to be transitioning over to YouTube as well, and probably within the next. We want to set it 2 weeks, maybe.
In the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks over, and we'll put some reminders out as well about transition over to YouTube. But again, we appreciate you all tuning in. We thank you for spending.
That would be cute doing a watch show on Tuesday.
Tuesday's not gonna work. On a Tuesday, not gonna work.
Because that's for the election.
Yeah, that's for the election. But you know what? Now that I think about it, it may, because I may not be able to go to the.
We'll talk about it.
But yeah.
You'll find out. We'll know in the next couple of days.
Know. But again, thank you guys for spending your time with us during this pandemic. Please be safe out there. Make sure you guys go vote, or get your ballots in, whatever you need to do. We really appreciate you guys. That's all I got to say.
I agree with all of that. You know, if you've already voted, volunteer on election day to be a poll worker. You know, I mean, some of you
work that poll,
but work the election poll, and support
elect that poll. Elect that poll.
Your friends that may need some help. Think about your elderly friends and family. People in your neighborhood that might need, ways to get to the polls or whatever. Do like the Philadelphia Voting Project did. Throw a little impromptu party in the line where y'all are doing
shout
the
out
cha-cha
to Philly.
slide.
Yeah, shout out to Philadelphia, because listen, that's what we do. We just party. So
yeah, so do that.
We party and shoot motherfuckers.
Well, apparently, and one thing I want to challenge you all to do is to have a written plan about what you're going to do over the next 4 years. We'll talk about your personal plan later, but right now, let's assume that whether we win or lose, what's our plan if we're going to win? Because we already said that we don't have a perfect. I got you. We don't have a perfect candidate regardless of who's winning. So even if things go our way, we're still gonna have to work. So what are you going to do to make that happen?
Absolutely.
Well, all right. And with that, I will say thank you all for coming out. God bless you and good night. Mwah.